Alright, so I'm a pretty new writer, but I've still seen a lot of these comments on YouTube videos, on social media, where people are very much complaining kind of about people going off-road with bigger bikes. They're still like, oh, it's like going in a bus, it's this, why are you taking it off-road, it's not meant to go off-road, use a dirt bike, and so on. So my background is I started with dirt bikes about a year ago, totally fun. I'm currently on a GS, and I've been watching this sort of play out, and I've seen a few takes, various YouTubers and different people on forums. I have a little bit of a different take, so I thought I would share it. So to me, the way to think about it is that it's all about what you are trying to achieve. What is your goal? Is your goal, if it is as simple as your goal is to traverse the most technical and gnarly terrain possible at your current skill level. If that is your goal, then a small dirt bike is of course going to be a lot better at doing that than a bigger bike, whether it's a GS, like a big GS, or a medium-sized adventure bike, or whatever it is. That's totally fine if that's what you want to do. But that's not a goal in and of itself. Like, that's not the problem being solved. The problem being solved is that you're trying to have fun, right? For the most part. I mean, unless, with the exception of certain probably unusual examples, if you're going off-road, it's because you're doing it for fun, or it's because it's rewarding in some way. It's not it's for the most part, with some exceptions, it's not going to be your job. It's not going to be a utilitarian endeavor. It's about fun and or reward for you personally. So the question is, what is fun for you? I'm just going to say fun, but you know, rewarding, fun, whatever it is. And so first of all, the answer to that could be something other than going on the most gnarly, most technical terrain. It could be that you're just enjoying the outdoors. You might be enjoying, like, in combination with the riding, you might be enjoying seeing different places. You might be enjoying this challenge and like the building of your skill set over time. Like, it might be more about the building than what is your absolute capability in a given terrain at any given moment on a given bike. And so that is just a matter of like, what is your preference while you're going off-road? What are you trying to do off-road and why? There's also other circumstances. So as with most things in real life, you have multiple factors. Almost nothing is as simple as a single factor. Once we start talking about actual real life situations, things get complicated. That's true in politics, it's true in anything. Like, real life situations are complicated. So boiling something down to one single factor is almost always wrong. It is almost always oversimplifying it. It is almost always not what you want to do. So in the case of a bike, I'm going to use my actual situation. Why did I move from a dirt bike to a 1300 GS, right? A super big bike. Was it that I didn't enjoy the off-roading on the dirt bike? No, that's not a problem. I enjoy that a lot. What ended up happening is that I got into street riding after I got into dirt biking, because I had a dirt bike. It wasn't street legal. I could only ride it on weekends after driving out to wherever I'm riding. There was no way of practicing in between, and so on, right? So I ended up creeping into street riding. Now, what is the circumstance that I'm looking at in front of me, right? Yes, I'm enjoying the dirt biking, but if I'm gonna go dirt biking for a day, what happens is I might be driving for anywhere between 3 and 6 hours in total that day, going back and forth, depending on where I'm going to get that riding done. And that's going to be with a trailer on the car, right? So I'm dealing with a trailer. The trailer has to fit somewhere. I need to keep it somewhere. I need to muscle the trailer around. You know, there's just a whole process to it, right? So do I want to spend, let's say, 7 hours in a day in order to ride for maybe 2.5 hours, and then the rest is driving with a trailer? Or do I want to spend 7 hours in that day riding to somewhere, riding some off-road, riding back from that off-road? And the answer, for now at least, is the latter, right? So that's my particular equation. Other people's equation may look different, right? That is just an example, a real-life example. But it's an example intended to convey and explain why these sort of simple statements that people make, like why are you riding a big bike off-road, they're completely oversimplifying. They are completely oversimplifying the actual situation for real people. That different people are going to have different answers to all of these questions and different factors, different preferences. There are different reasons why they're riding off-road. They have different preferences for riding. They have different factors going on depending on where they live, depending on financial situation, depending on how much time they have to dedicate to it. There's all sorts of factors, right? So coming in on somebody's, I saw this the other day, somebody made a post and somebody's like, and you know, a few different people chimed in with variants of like, why is this, you know, why are you bringing this bike for something it's not made for, blah blah blah, it's a bus or whatever. Like, why, like, what is your goal? Why are you telling people this? Like, are you intentionally just being rude? Or do you not understand that real life is simpler than one particular factor, right? Like, you don't know that person's situation. Who are you to say that that's not good for them, right? Again, every person has different preferences, but also different circumstances. And it's not like, again, this is true of like almost anything. So whenever there's something online, whether it's politics, whether it's some polarized opinion that's not necessarily politics, whatever it is, like there's always these like oversimplified takes. There's no nuance, there's no recognition of real life not being some like movie plot or some cartoon where everything is simple, right? So that to me is really my take, right? What are you trying to achieve? What is your goal? What are the factors that play into how you can achieve those goals? And that's what's going to be, you know, the best choice for you. Does that mean that everybody always makes the best choice? No, because you are operating with imperfect information. You may not know what you like and what you don't like, for example, if you have limited experience with different types of bikes. Or you may just not have tried something before, and so you don't know if you like it or not. You may lack information about something external, something factual. You may not be aware that there is a certain type of bike, or that there's a certain way of riding, or something like that, right? So you might make a decision that turns out to not be optimal because you didn't know all the prerequisite information. But the reason it's wrong in that case isn't that somebody's super oversimplified take about like, oh, you can't ride this bike in that situation. That's not, like, they are never right. That is never correct. Like, you could say that if you add a list of premises to the equation. If you say, if the only thing you care about is this, if you don't care about that, if you don't care about that, if you don't care about that, then the only reasonable answer is such and such, right? You can do that, but with the absence of that, that is just always a wrong take. It is just never correct, right? So, yeah. What are you trying to achieve? What is your goal? How can you best achieve that goal within the bounds and limitations and circumstances that you're in. It's as simple as that. As with many things in life, this is no different.